Do you get stressed when you have to write? You don't know where to start? Your sentences always sound the same. Writing is terrifying. Here are 6 ways to start a sentence. 1. The subject. One of the best ways to start a sentence is to put the subject first and the verb second. The subject of a sentence is the person, place, thing, or idea. It has to be followed by a verb, a word that tells you what the subject is doing. I cooked spaghetti. The dog ran home. John read a book. Number 2. Explaining where or when something happens. You can start a sentence with words that tell you where something is happening. On the beach, there was a shipwreck. Or it could be beside the beach, by the beach, near the beach. You can also start a sentence with words that tell you when something is happening. After school, we played computer games. Or it could be before school. Don't forget to use a comma. Number 3. Asking a question. Have you ever thought of starting a sentence with a question? A question makes the reader think. Which songs do you like best? Who is the richest person in the world? Make sure you answer your question in the next sentence. Have you brushed your teeth today? Forgetting to brush your teeth leads to bad breath and tooth decay. 4. An ing phrase. You can start a sentence with an action ending in ing. Looking at the clock, she realized she was going to be late. Sitting on the beach, I watched the sun set over the ocean. Running home quickly, she got soaked in the pouring rain. Or you can use a doing word ending with ed. Frightened by the loud fireworks, the dog hid under the table. Excited about her birthday, she woke up very early. If you do start with ing or ed words, don't forget to use a comma before you complete the sentence. 6. ly words. Finally, the last way to start a sentence is using an ly word. Carefully, she tiptoed past the sleeping monster. Hungrily, the dog chewed the bone. These ly words also need a comma before you write the rest of the sentence. Well, now you know 6 different ways to start a sentence. Before you start writing, add them to your plan to remind you to use them, and you'll find that writing isn't so scary after all.
The single most common question I get on a weekly basis is, what can I do to improve my writing? At first this seems like a loaded question. It's big, it's broad, it's desperate. But I think people overanalyze the problem. Though everyone's case is unique, I believe there are 5 simple things everyone can do to improve their writing by leaps and bounds in a short period of time. The first is to cut out all the fluff. The single biggest improvement most people can make to their writing is simply to delete words, lines, or whole chapters that shouldn't be there. You see, slim stories are sexy stories. Most readers don't want to feel like there's a lot of extra stuff in the way between them and the story. As a writer, you want to create the sort of experience where the reader forgets that they're reading. They become so engrossed in the story that they forget the book in their hands. They don't see the words on the page. They see and hear and feel the imagery and sensations of the story unfolding in their mind. Cutting out the excess baggage is the best way of achieving this. If it doesn't need to be there, remove it. I know it can be painful to cut out scenes or chapters that you really like, but if they don't serve your story's larger purpose, it's for the best to let them go. You can always come back and use discarded elements in future projects. The second thing you can do to improve your writing is to get into the habit of using stronger language. Now, I don't mean swearing, although that may work for some people in some stories. I mean using words that create more vivid and less passive images. For example, instead of saying, "she ran down the hallway," you can say, "she charged into the hallway," or "she sprinted down the hallway." Charged and sprinted are stronger than ran. Likewise, words like clubbed are stronger than hit, banged is stronger than knocked, persuade is stronger than convince. While stronger words don't always work better than their more mundane counterparts, including stronger language in your work will increase the overall appeal and level of imagery. I find that using stronger alternatives to describe action scenes or other scenes of high importance or drama works best. Overuse of strong words can become tiring for the reader. Use them at the right times to evoke emotion. Make them stand out and feel special. The third thing you can do to improve your writing is to make your language simpler. Run-on sentences or overly complex dialogue will kill your story. The simplest way to describe something is often the best way. Say it succinctly. Say it once, and you'll never have to repeat yourself. It's a great temptation for writers to want to show off their flowery prose, but it's a huge chore for the reader. For instance, let's consider this passage. Caitlin exited the house and walked down the sidewalk to get to her car. She reached into her pockets and felt her phone, but did not feel her keys. She frowned and was upset, and went back into her house to look for her car keys, because she forgot them. Do you see anything wrong with this language? Is it overly complex? Is it too crammed full of useless or repetitive information? How about this passage? Caitlin left her house and moved for the car against the sidewalk. She reached into her pocket for her keys. They weren't there. She dashed back into the house to search for them. Not only is this second passage shorter, it's more direct. It simplifies the description. It sticks to the narrative and not the words themselves. Brevity is important. Be brief, be descriptive, keep the story moving. A fourth thing you might try to improve your writing is to use an outline. There are many different methods on how to make an outline. I'll present a few to you in a future video. Outlines don't just help you map out your story, they get you excited for actually writing your story. Using an outline isn't just a tool for what you do after you start writing. It's a tool to help you get writing in the first place. When you make an outline, you'll be thinking about your story a lot. You'll discover all the possible angles, all the possible paths your characters can take. Making an outline is a tool. It gets the gears turning. It greases up the imagination. Even if you never look at your outline once when you're writing, the outline has already served its purpose. It makes you excited to write. It lays out the basic framework for you to adhere as you craft the story. An outline helps you build anticipation and excitement. And if you, the writer, don't have excitement for your own story, no one else will. The fifth and final thing you can do to improve your story is to read. Read lots of books. Read magazines, read newspapers, read online articles, read the backs of cereal boxes and shampoo bottles. Just read and never stop. If you want to make a living or a hobby out of writing, you need to know what good writing looks like. The best way to achieve that is to constantly absorb examples of good writing. Find out from others what works and what doesn't. Consider different styles and purposes. Analyze various authors and their methods. Let the great authors of the world be your teachers. Read at least an hour or two a day at a minimum. If you don't have time to read, you don't have time to write. You have to participate, both ways, in the game of the written word in order to be a player. There's no other way around it. So those are 5 simple ways on how to improve your writing. To recap, you should cut out the fluff, use stronger language, simplify your writing, make an outline, and read often. If you do those 5 things, I promise you that you will see improvements in your writing skill in a very short